Let's understand why No ARIA is better than Bad ARIA. No ARIA is better than Bad ARIA is a commonly used phrase in the web accessibility community, which means that it's better to have no ARIA, accessible rich internet applications, at all in your web application or website, than to use ARIA incorrectly or inappropriately. ARIA is a powerful tool that can make complex web content more accessible to users with disabilities, but it can also be misused and cause more harm than good. When used improperly, ARIA can confuse screen readers, create accessibility barriers, and make it harder for users with disabilities to navigate and interact with web content. Therefore, it's important for developers to understand the appropriate use of ARIA and follow the WAI-ARIA Authoring Practices guidelines to ensure that ARIA is implemented correctly and only when necessary. In cases where ARIA is not needed, it's better to rely on native HTML elements and attributes, which are already designed to be accessible. Let's say you have a button on your website that, when clicked, opens a modal window with additional content. You want to make sure that the button and the modal window are accessible to all users, including those who use assistive technologies like screen readers. This code includes some ARIA attributes, like role and ARIA labeled, but they aren't used correctly or effectively. For example, the role attribute is set to dialog, which implies that the modal is a dialog box with a specific purpose and behavior. However, there is no ARIA described attribute to give more information about the content or context of the dialog. This means that users of assistive technologies may not be able to effectively understand or interact with the dialog. Here's an example of no ARIA. This code doesn't include any ARIA attributes at all. While this may seem like the safer option, it actually makes the modal less accessible to users of assistive technologies. Without any ARIA attributes to provide context and information, the modal may be difficult or impossible for some users to understand or interact with. Here's an example of good ARIA. This code includes several ARIA attributes that are used effectively to make the modal accessible to all users. The ARIA has pop-up attribute indicates that the button opens a pop-up dialog, while the ARIA controls attribute associates the button with the modal content. The role attribute is set to dialog, and there are ARIA labeled and ARIA described attributes that provide information about the content and context of the modal. The ARIA modal attribute indicates that the modal is a top-level window that blocks other content, and the onClick attribute triggers a function that closes the modal when the close button is clicked. By using good ARIA in your code, you can make your website or web application more accessible and usable to all users, regardless of their abilities or assistive technologies.